Welcome in everyone to my channel. My name is Jim. Thank you so much for joining me as always. And if this is your first time here, I hope you enjoy the format. And if you do, please consider subscribing, click like on the video, and leave any comments or questions that you may have. Now, let me explain the concept behind this series and why I felt it was worthwhile to create it. So my desktop series is your standard run-of-the-mill tabletop overhead review. Whether it's something I've owned for years or just picked up that day, it's a close-up look at the details and a discussion about the features and benefits, as well as my personal thoughts on how the gun or accessory turned out overall. After that, I like to take that particular item and go to the Shots Fired series. Here, we get to go to the range, and I do my best to get good range footage, shooting the guns or using the accessories to give you an idea of what to expect if you're actually purchasing that particular item yourself. And if I can't get quality range footage, I'll do an after range report detailing the experiences that I had while I was out there on the range. And then comes this series, the Week in the Waistband. It's not a review per se, but an honest assessment of what the gun or accessory is like to live with on an actual daily basis. Now, I go through a good sized collection of guns, so I rarely carry the same gun every day for long stretches of time, unless I'm in my honeymoon period with a new gun. But doing this series here forces me to carry it every day for a week, no matter what, and report back all the nuances of having it on my person for so long. Is it too bulky? Is it too pokey? Is it too scratchy? How does it compare to carrying other popular guns on the market? And in the end, is it better off as a home defense gun or a range toy than an EDC carry gun? And at the end of each episode, what I'll do is I'll offer up a few choices of different guns for future episodes, and you guys get to pick the next gun that I carry and report back on. So stay tuned till the end so that you can participate and we can kind of do this together. Okay, now, getting into this gun in particular, striking while the iron is hot. I've already put out a couple of videos over the past month on my Fusion Firearms XP Pro. And after SHOT Show, this has kind of been the gun everyone is talking about. It's been between this and the Staccato HD. It's kind of stolen everybody's attention. And I'll be honest with you, I want to ride the fucking algorithm. One concern that I had about this gun is how absurdly heavy it is for a 4-inch gun, especially in comparison to everything else out there, like, say, a Glock 19. And while you feel that may be unfair to compare an all-metal gun against a polymer striker-fired gun, yeah, you may be right. But even comparing this to a 4¼ inch commander-sized 1911 or 2011, this is still heavy. Because one thing people don't really pay attention to in the reviews is they'll tell you, sure, it's got a stainless steel slide. And sure, it's got an aluminum grip module. But that doesn't mean it's not necessarily going to be heavy. What a lot of times they forget to tell you, or they just don't know, is that the frame, because remember, this is 3 main components. In a multi-component gun like this, that's built like a 2011, you have your grip module, you have your frame, which is your rails, and holds all your trigger components, and then you have your slide and slide assembly. That frame is also steel. And it's got a long dust cover and a long rail, and it's got a lot of weight to it. So I can't speak for anyone else, but myself personally, when I was waiting for this to get here, all I could think of was, this is going to be great. All of my carry 1911, 2011s are 4¼ inch guns. And whether they're polymer grip modules or they're aluminum, this 4-inch gun that I've got coming should be even easier to carry because it's only a 4-inch gun. I've got less barrel, I've got less slide, I've got less dust cover, I've got less mass. Not thinking about this being steel and how much this was going to weigh. So The biggest concern for me was going to be, how is this going to carry? Luckily, I have the best belts and holsters money can buy, so I'm not overly burdened by anything that I carry. I will often carry a full size or even like a match gun. You know, there are plenty of 5-inch guns that I carry because I enjoy them. I've often carried my Walther Q5 match. I've often carried my Canik Rival. I've often carried, obviously, this and other guns that were just really, really, really big. If it's in the right holster, it's not too bad, honestly. The smooth grip module here, which isn't doing you any favors while shooting it, is actually pretty awesome for carry. It's smooth and slick and not abrasive in the slightest. So with this rubbing up against your tummy, it's not tearing up the skin at all. Now, there's a little bit of sharp edge to the outer diameter of the magazine catch, the magazine release button. But honestly, I have never felt it. I've felt it on my thumb, but I've never felt it while I was carrying it. And I haven't really paid attention to, no, this holster does not cover that. So I haven't had to worry about it. It hasn't bothered me at all. So what I've been doing is I've been carrying in with the Hunter Constantine belt, which is the same, by the way, if you have purchased the Tier 1 concealed belt, that's the same belt, but the Tier 1 concealed belt adds one more loop for the hook to hook into. The Hunter Constantine belt just has the 2 loops. And I use primarily this one. This is my Tier 1 concealed Axis Slim. This is a fantastic holster. This is actually for another gun, but it happens to fit this one really, really well. It doesn't have a nice, click to it, but I do feel the solid retention, and it's not moving around in there at all. It's not loose. It's not too tight. And being hard chromed, I'm not worrying too much if a little bit of this is rubbing as it's going in or out. I don't really feel that it is, because I haven't seen any shavings of white Kydex on the floor after I pulled this out. But this is hard chrome. It's not as delicate of a final finish as some others. What I have had to do, I've had to make an adjustment in how I carry. On the Hunter Constantine belt, what I have to do is I have to hook it into the tightest loop instead of on the second loop. So generally with that belt, you have a nice little quick adjustment. If you're not carrying, you'll have it on the tightest loop. If you're carrying, you put it on the second loop and it gives you an extra inch in your waistband and it makes everything easy. But because the entire back half of the belt is all elastic, this kind of weight can cause that belt to sag just the slightest bit. So by putting it on the tightest setting, I don't really have to worry about that much. Now, if I decide that my priority that particular day is keeping it from sagging even in the slightest bit and screw my back comfort, I'll use my Neomag Alias belt or my Core Essentials belt, both of which are solid and stiff all the way around the entire length of the belt. And the reason why I wear the constant, my God, I can't even say it. The reason why I wear the Hunter Constantine belt most often is because 50% of that belt is elastic and 50% is rigid, the front 50%. So it really does give you a lot of comfort across your back. You don't feel it digging into you at all. And it constantly adjusts. If you're sitting, you're squatting, you're walking, you're jumping, you're sitting, whatever you're doing, it will constantly adjust the tension for you. You don't have to do anything. Now on the Neomag Alias belt, and I love that belt, it's got a little short elastic section and it may move a ½ an inch, possibly. So it gives you a little more. The Core Essentials, that ain't moving for shit. Once you've got that notched into place, that's it, that's your setting. And then you can adjust that by hitting the button on the bottom of the buckle, or loosening it up or tightening it up, and then you're good to go. So on those other two, they can dig into your back if you're carrying a larger size or a heavier gun. Now, using the Tier 1 Concealed Axis Slim, it carries really easily with the weight being really balanced and distributed pretty evenly across this long width of the entire holster. And this is my preferred way of carrying it. The alternate way that I can carry it is I can slap on my X300, which, yes, I know everybody else likes to have the quick release version of the X300. I prefer having a solid light attachment. So if I want to carry something different, I'll use my Tier 1 Concealed MSP. And I use that for a lot of different guns. There are probably 8 or 9 pistols that I have that fit into this holster just perfectly when I put the X300 on there. I've been really, really happy with it. But this holster is a bit bulkier than this one is. I do have the additional mag carrier for it, but I don't attach it. I keep it separate so I can move it and put it wherever I want. I just simply prefer the feeling of a sidecar holster and the way that it balances everything and how far apart those clips are. These clips are closer together. And the one thing I've never liked is, here's your flat angle on that clip, and then this clip is canted way over this way. And it can sometimes be a little bit of a pain in the ass to get on and off. So this is not my favorite holster, but I do really like the holster. And I love the fact that it's able to take almost any gun I can think of. But here's the thing. I've already got a ton of weight here. I really don't want to throw a flashlight on top of that. So I generally don't do this. All right, let's get this off of here. Now, this is not an off-body carry pistol. Nope. Not for a fanny pack, not for a cross-chest sling, nothing like that. There's so much weight to it that it feels laborious to carry around. No thank you, sir. If you try to do it in a rig that goes across the chest as a sling bag, again, no. The weight causes it to shift, making you have to correct it and lift it up over and over and over again so often that it'll turn into a damn Tourette's tick. But getting back to the appendix carry, the smoothly melted edges to everything on this gun honestly make it a dream to carry. There's nothing sharp digging into you, not even that thumb safety. Now, I'm not carrying a lot of additional weight in my ammo. I do want to show you the gun is clear in the chamber because I knew I was going to make the video. I typically carry either the G9 ammunition, which I think those are 90 grain. They call them external hollow points, or I carry the extreme penetrators. And I believe, I want to say these are 100 grain. So altogether, the 18 rounds that are in here are not overly heavy. Not as if I were carrying 18 rounds of 147 grain ammo. So it could always be worse. Now I'm going to take this and move this to the other side of my studio so that it's nowhere near the guns that I'm playing with. Give me 1 second. Okay, I'm back. Whew. I do really enjoy this gun. I really, really do. Okay, so we were talking again about appendix carry. I thought maybe this enormous magwell was going to have 2 issues. I thought, number one, this is going to be really hard to conceal because you've got a big hump coming off the mainspring housing. And this lip right here gets pretty thin, and I thought it was going to be a harsh edge up against the skin. And I'll be honest with you, as big as it is, it hasn't been an issue under even just a normal size t-shirt. Now, do bear in mind that the grip module is aluminum, and so is the magwell, and the frame is steel. So it is witch titty cold in the winter against your skin and devil's bunghole hot in the summer. A polymer grip won't transfer that heat or cold, so if that's what you're used to, just remember this is going to be a little bit different. It doesn't take very long to get used to that. As far as your daily ins and outs, your administrative handling, it draws well, it reholsters well. It's not going to be any different than drawing or reholstering any of your other 19 or 2011s. But it is one of those guns that's less than fun to drop the kids off at the pool in public. And that would be the same for any larger gun than this, or any full-size duty gun, or any other heavy gun that you've got in your collection. You already know the workarounds by now, so you'll be just fine. Now, because I'm a silly goose and I have a significantly larger optic on mine than most normal people are going to have on a 4-inch gun, I thought maybe that was going to add to any complicated concealment issues. And it really hasn't. Now, this is the Holosun 507 comp. So it, along with the Vortex Defender XL that I have on my Bull Armory, they're about two of the biggest optics that you can get your hands on. And it actually conceals just fine. As long as you've got the right gear and you've got that holster, it's going to pull everything in tight. You've got a claw or a wing on there that helps pull the grip in a little bit tighter. You're not really going to have any issues. This is where a good quality holster comes in. And yet people want to bitch and complain when they get to the end of the checkout process and a holster like this is $150 or $160. And they're like, man, for just a piece of bent plastic? Yeah, it's so much more than that. The design, the ergonomics, the way it's been put together make a difference in your comfort, and they make a difference in how you print. So definitely invest in a good holster if you decide you want to carry this heavy sumbitch. Now, unlike the Staccato HD and the OA Defense 2311, this has a functioning beaver tail grip safety. So you can feel a little bit more at ease reholstering your cocked and locked single action appendix carried 2011. When I reholster, I do it in a way that I'm never putting a full grip on it. So when the gun is going back into my pants and being pointed at my junk, this is never depressed. So I don't have to worry about anything. Don't get me wrong, I love my 2311. It is a fantastic pistol, but I carry it less than all of my other 19 and 2011s simply for the fact that it doesn't have a beaver tail safety. And the same thing goes for my Dan Wesson DWX, even though that is the perfect carry size. I don't carry it as often as my Bull Armory or some of my others because I want that extra layer of security when I have this pointed at what I feel is the most vital part of my body. And I'd like to think that my wife feels the same way. So your mileage may vary on that. That's just how I feel about it. Now, as to all-day comfort, aside from the weight, it does feel a bit bulky. All day long, you're being given reminders that you're carrying this big booty girl around. Having a full-length 17-round grip module is a challenge for some people to conceal, and how thick that booty is. Listen, if you're a super slender guy who's not carrying any weight, you might feel a little self-conscious trying to carry this gun. You might be constantly looking down to check to see if you're printing. Same for the big giant fatty whose belly pushes all of his grips outward. You're going to be doing the same thing. You're going to be wondering, how bad am I printing? If you're even somewhat in shape, thick stock, or even have a little bit of a dad bod going on, but you're substantial, you should be fine with the proper holster. So if you're kind of that in between, there's really not going to be any issue. There are a ton of guns out there that people carry often that are bigger than this, that carry just fine. There are even more guns nowadays that are tremendously smaller than this that you have as EDC choices. So keep that in mind. Even in the 19 and 2011 realm, I mean, think about the Staccato CS. That's a great, tiny little 2011. Super easy to conceal, especially now that you can get the compact grip module instead of the full-size grip module. And the way, not Staccato, but Bull Armory is doing theirs. So mine is the EDC Pro. So I've got the full length, same thing, full length, full size grip, and the shorter 4¼ inch slide. But they make the ultralight, they make the smaller version with both the full size and the compact grip. And yeah, those are a better choice for carry than the EDC is. Good luck getting one. That's why I have an EDC. I've waited for 4 years to get a Bull Armory in my collection. This was what popped up. And that's what I grabbed. I know either wanted the Ultralight Pro or the EDC Pro. And Ultralight Pros still are not back in stock. So as soon as I saw this pop up, hell yeah, you know I grabbed it. So anyway, this is a slightly easier gun to carry than this, even though it's a little bit bigger. Now, I generally do not carry it with the Surefire on there. I was only doing that for today because today I wanted it in this, because this was my first day after my 7-day period, weak in the waistband on this. So, in all honesty, as good of a gun and as incredible of a value as the Fusion Firearms XP Pro is, I don't think it's going to be everybody's cup of tea for carry. Now, if you're watching this and every time I mention how heavy it is, you roll your eyes and go, shut up, it's not that heavy, then you're not going to have any issues, man. You're good to go. I have known people, I don't want to say known, I have met people that carry Desert Eagles. Hey, by all means, go for it. I don't see how that's practical, but you can't say it's uncarryable. One, because uncarryable is not a real word, but two, you can't say anything is uncarryable. If somebody can carry a Desert Eagle, they can carry pretty much anything. But there are degrees of comfort, man. There's a lot that goes into it. For me, I like it, and it's something that I'll carry on the occasion. It's not something that's going to go into my waistband probably more than 4 or 5 days a month. Mainly because I have other things that are better suited for that EDC carry. But even comparing it to my other 1911 and 2011s, this is going to get less time in the holster because it's just not quite as easy to carry. Now, it's not night and day. While this one's lighter weight in the gun itself, I'm carrying 1 extra round. Plus, with this gun, I typically carry it in the sidecar, and I'm carrying the secondary magazine. So I'm carrying more weight overall than I would be with this. So there's a little give and take. There's something more premium feeling about having the aluminum grip module when you're shooting the gun and handling the gun. But when you're carrying the gun, there's something, and I can't put it into words, there's something I prefer more about the polymer. I can't say that it's actually more compact in any way or slimmer in any way, because I don't think that that's true. But my tiny little lizard brain tells me that I prefer carrying this grip module over this grip module, which is why I'm considering getting one of the G10 grip modules when Fusion Firearms releases those in a month or two. So anyway, that's my thoughts. That is my week in the waistband, but I don't want you to go anywhere, because now it's going to be your turn to choose what you want to hear about next. What else is up here and see what you might want to see as the next week in the waistband. So here we have the Daniel Defense H9 with the Viridian RXF 45 on top. Here, OA Defense 2311, the Monsoon Tactical Genghis Comp, stipple job and Cerakote job. The amazing Dan Wesson DWX with the Gideon Omega up top. My Miami Vice Stealth Arms Platypus, 4 1/4 inch. The one you saw earlier, the Bull Armory EDC Pro with the Defender XL up top. Let's see. More simplistic stuff like SIG P365 XL Spectre Comp. My #1 favorite polymer striker fired gun, the Archon Type B Gen 2.